Hey everyone, welcome back to English Vibes Podcast, your daily spot for natural English practice. I'm Anna.
And I'm Ryan. We're so glad you're joining us today. If you're loving our daily conversations, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode.
So, Ryan, let's start with a quick question. What's the difference between saying if I have time and if I had time?
Oh, Anna, come on. Why are you doing this to me so early? My brain just went completely blank. I know they're not the same, but if you ask me to explain how, I'd just stare at you.
And that exact blank feeling, that sudden freeze, is something every single English learner has experienced. It's the ultimate conditional trap.
Absolutely. I can't tell you how many times I've wanted to say something like, if I have more money, I would buy a new car. And halfway through the sentence, I feel the wheels completely come off. I just crash and burn.
It really does feel like a system error in our brains, right? We know if I have is correct. We know I would buy is correct. But when we try to splice them together, it just short circuits.
Exactly. What is wrong with that sentence anyway? My ears tell me it sounds weird, but my brain can't name the actual rule.
The problem is that you're mixing two completely different realities. In English, there are three primary if structures, and they all play by different rules. Once you see them laid out side by side, the fog totally clears.
Wait, three? I thought there were only two.
That's what most textbooks teach. People learn if I have for real life, and then a vague if I had for daydreams. But there's a third one for the past that most learners completely avoid because it looks like a monster.
A monster? How so?
It involves double verbs like had, and structures like would have. When people see that, they think, nope, not today, and they run the other way.
So they just never talk about their past regrets in English?
Pretty much. They use three separate awkward sentences to explain something when a single elegant grammar rule could do it perfectly. Today, we're going to conquer that fear.
Let's lay them out. What are the three?
Well, there's if I have, if I had, and if I had had. Three phrases that look almost identical but tell completely different stories about time and reality.
Wait, I'm not gonna lie. Had is already making my head spin a little bit.
Stay with me, Ryan. By the end of this episode, you're going to smile when you see had instead of wanting to turn off the podcast. That's our goal today.
Okay, before we dive into them one by one, can you clear something up for me? Why does if I had money mean I don't have money right now? Why are we using past tense for a present situation? It feels like a glitch in the matrix.
That is hands down the best question you could ask, and answering it is the ultimate light bulb moment in English. Here's the secret. Conditional sentences are not actually about time. They're about reality.
What do you mean by that?
When we use the past tense in a sentence like, if I had, we aren't talking about yesterday. We are using the past tense shape to create distance. It's English's way of saying, this is far away from reality right now.
So had is a signal for not real?
Exactly. It's like when you say, I wish I had a dog. You don't have one. The past tense had creates emotional and physical distance from the fact that your apartment is empty. It's a psychological trick of the language.
Wow, my brain is physically warming up right now. That makes so much sense. So when I say, if I had time, I'm not talking about last week. I'm saying, I don't have time right now, but I'm dreaming about a world where I do.
Bingo, you've got it. And that realization unlocks the entire grammar system. Once you understand that past tense shape equals unreal, everything else falls into place. This is the secret textbooks always skip.
I can literally feel the gears shifting in my chest. It's like three puzzle pieces I've been carrying around for years are finally clicking together. Can we say those three categories again?
Possibility, hypothetical, and impossible. Or, in sentence form, if I have, if I had, and if I had had.
Got it. Let's break them down.
Let's start with the easiest, friendliest one. If I have. This is our first conditional, and it's for real possibilities, things that might actually happen in the real world.
Give me an example.
If I have time tomorrow, I will call you. Notice the connection. Have in the first part, will in the second. Present tense plus future tense. Both live in the world of real plans.
Like saying, if it rains tonight, we'll order takeout. Both of those things are highly possible. No magic, no daydreams.
Exactly. The formula is simple. If plus present tense plus will or can plus base verb.
And we use this one constantly, right?
Every single day. Daily schedules, warnings, promises, predictions. If you eat all that spicy food, you'll regret it later. If I get this promotion, I will buy dinner. It's the language of daily life.
Warnings, promises, and predictions. It sounds like the language of parenting.
You're not wrong, but the point is it's highly practical. You've probably been using it naturally for years, so let's feel good about that one. Present shape plus will equals the real world.
Got it. What's the next level?
Next level, if I had. This is the second conditional. We use this for imaginary, hypothetical situations, things that could happen in theory but currently are not true.
The classic daydream.
Exactly. If I had $1 million, I would buy a private jet. Do I have $1 million? No. Am I getting $1 million today? Unlikely. It's pure imagination.
So the formula changes to if plus past tense shape plus would or could plus base verb.
Yes, so if I had time, I would call you. Means I am super busy right now, reality, but in my imaginary world where I am free, I'd give you a ring.
I can hear the difference. It sounds much softer, almost a bit wishful.
It is. The first conditional is a practical plan. The second is a gentle wish. If I knew her number, I would text her. If I were taller, I would play professional basketball.
Wait, you said if I were taller, not if I was. Why is that?
Great catch. In formal English, we use were for all subjects in unreal situations. If I were you, if he were here. In casual conversation, you'll hear native speakers say if I was all the time, but were is the traditional correct form.
So the past tense shape is just a big flag waving to say, this is a dream.
Beautifully put. Past shape equals unreal. Keep that phrase in your head. Now, are you ready for the final level?
The double had. Let's do it.
If I had had. This is the third conditional. People think someone got stuck and pressed the copy-paste button by accident, but it has a purpose.
Why are there two?
The first had is just a helper verb, a grammatical marker telling us we are traveling back into the past. The second had is the actual past participle of the verb to have. Together, had means we are looking back at a past that is already finished.
So it's a bridge to a past that didn't happen?
Yes, if I had had more time yesterday, I would have finished the report. What actually happened? Yesterday is gone. I didn't have time and I didn't finish, but I'm imagining a different history.
So this is the language of regret, of looking backward and wondering what if.
Exactly. It's the language of reflection. Every adult has moments where they look back at a fork in the road. You need the structure to express that very human feeling.
That makes it feel much less scary. It's not a cold grammar rule, it's just the shape of human memory.
It is. The structure is if plus had plus past participle, had, studied, known, plus would have plus past participle. For example, if I had studied harder, I would have passed the exam. I didn't study, I didn't pass, and now I'm reflecting on it.
Or, if I had known you were sick, I would have visited you. I didn't know, so I didn't visit, but I wish I had.
Perfect. You're catching the rhythm of it.
You know, this reminds me of an incredibly embarrassing conversation I had with my girlfriend's uncle last month. He was telling me about his youth in Rome, and I tried to use all three conditionals at once.
Oh no. What did you say?
I wanted to say, if you go back to Italy, you'll love it. And then, if you had more money back then, you would have stayed longer. And finally, if I had time, I would go with you. But what came out was a total soup of words.
What actually came out?
I think I said, if you would go back, you will went, and if you had have money, you would had stayed. I was sweating, my face was bright red, and he just smiled politely while sipping his espresso.
That is the classic conditional collision. Your brain knew the three distinct realities, but without the formulas, it just panicked and threw a handful of past and present verbs at the wall.
And absolutely nothing stuck.
But you kept talking, and that's the most important part of learning. But now, how would you say those three things correctly?
Okay, let me try. If you go back to Italy, you'll love it. Real possibility.
If you had more money back then, you would have stayed longer. Past unreal dream.
If you had more time now, you would go back. Present unreal wish.
Perfect. Three different shapes, three completely different feelings.
I can actually hear the emotional difference between them now.
That is the ear you are developing. Once you learn to spot these shapes, you'll start hearing them everywhere, in movies, music, and meetings. It really comes down to asking yourself three simple questions. Is this a real, possible future plan? If yes, use if I have. Is this an imaginary present daydream? If yes, use if I had. Is this an imaginary reflection on the past? If yes, use if I had had.
That is a brilliant mental checklist. I want to write that on a sticky note and paste it to my laptop.
Do it. It is your ultimate grammar cheat sheet.
What about mixing them, like saying, if I had studied, I would be a doctor right now?
Ah, the mixed conditionals. They definitely exist, but let's save that boss level for another episode. For today, let's just get perfectly comfortable with the three pure shapes.
I am more than happy to celebrate mastering the pure shapes first. Can we do a quick practice round? You give me a scenario and I'll build the sentence.
I love this game. First scenario, you're making plans with a friend for a picnic tomorrow. It might rain.
If it rains tomorrow, we'll go to the museum instead. Real possibility.
Perfect. Second scenario, you're looking at a mansion and daydreaming about being a billionaire.
If I were a billionaire, I would buy a mansion for my parents. Present daydream.
Excellent use of were. Third scenario, you're looking back at an exam you failed last semester because you didn't prepare.
If I had prepared more, I would have passed the exam. Past reflection.
Flawless. You're flying through these.
I honestly feel a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. These sentences used to feel like a mountain, but seeing them side by side makes the whole landscape clear.
And that's exactly why we made this episode. Teachers often separate these by months or even years, so students never get to see how they connect. By looking at all three together, you see the big picture.
It's a game changer.
So, if you've stayed with us for this entire episode, give yourself a massive pat on the back. You've just fast-tracked a grammar point that puzzles people for years.
And remember our golden rule of the day. Past shape equals unreal. One past verb shape means present unreal. Two past verb shapes mean past unreal.
That's the entire lesson in a single line.
Beautiful. Before we sign off, let's lock in today's key vocabulary. 8 essential words that help us talk about reality.
Let's do it. First up, condition, a state or situation that must happen for something else to occur.
Next, imagine, to form a picture in your mind of something that isn't currently real.
Then, regret, that quiet, reflective sadness about a past choice we wish we could change.
Possibility, the realistic chance that something might actually happen in the real world.
Hypothetical, describing an imagined situation used to explore an idea or theory.
Wishful, having or expressing a desire for something that is not true right now.
Looking back, the act of reflecting on past events with the wisdom of today.
And finally, what if? The 2 small words that open up infinite worlds of imagination in our conversations.
8 powerful words to help you navigate reality and imagination.
Write them down, practice them, and let them bring your English to life.
Remember, conditionals aren't just grammar. They're how we share our plans, our dreams, and our memories.
Beautifully said. Now, we want to hear from you. Head to the comments and tell us which of the three conditionals has been your biggest headache. Just write 1, 2, or 3.
We read every single comment, and your feedback helps us design our upcoming episodes.
If this lesson brought you value today, please like, subscribe, and share it with a friend who is still running away from had.
We'll see you tomorrow for another easy conversation.
Keep practicing, keep dreaming, and keep asking what if.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.